Greetings, kindred spirits. Well, I'm sure you're feeling the energies lift a little, even though things are still pretty intense at the moment, but, at least there's a little bit of stimulation on the go. That's the only way I can put it right now. But, we do have quite an intense new moon, but it's not all bad, but there is a darker energy there with the black moon Lilith. But, that's only for some of us, you know what I mean, that haven't already faced that energy and dealt with it. But anyway, let's just get into it. So the new moon will begin in Virgo in the true lifetime sky on the 16th of October 2020 at 20:31 in the GMT time zone, at 15:31 in the EDT time zone, and on the 17th of October at 6:31 in the AEDT time zone. So, the moon in Virgo does create a lot of nervous energy in general, but our sun and moon will be involved in several grand aspects as the new moon begins. And that will just add to the intense energies that continue to sweep the globe. In all, we will have 6 grand aspects on that day. Well, I'm recording the day before, so at the new moon there's going to be 6 grand aspects. So there's going to be 3 kites, 2 T-squares and a grand cross, which is formed by the nodes of the moon. So let's talk about one of the T-squares first, since this particular one doesn't just include our moon and sun, but also the black moon Lilith, Pluto, Mars, Saturn and Jupiter. Actually this is a double T-square, which emphasises the already dominating energies of some very strong planetary players. The black moon Lilith will be in opposition to our sun and moon and in conjunction to Mars. That's wow, So the black moon and Mars have been meeting up with each other for several months now, off and on, so we're pretty familiar with that triggering energy that stirs up quite a lot of opposition and creates a lot of emotional triggers. So we have already been experiencing, a lot of irritability and volcanic eruptions. But at the new moon, both Mars and the black moon Lilith, both in Pisces, will be in opposition to both our moon and sun in Virgo. And these energies alone can trigger a lot of depression, anxiety and confusion, which also depletes our energy levels. So basically, just like the grand yod that was in formation at the full moon on the 1st of October here in the GMT time zone, and that yod was in effect right up until just before this new moon. So that depleted our energies and self-faith. But this particular T-square will more or less be doing the same, except where a yod is a faster flowing energy that dissolves our sense of being, the T-square, or this particular one, or T-squares in general actually, is more of a cutting energy, which will put stress on our ability to stay grounded and tactful. So our reality at the moment is very distorted, and our ability to stay positive will be very challenging as our fears and phobias continue to rise up or be stirred up. Self-defense mechanisms will be the theme for those that are still in their ego or are still having self-identity issues, while others may be a little bit over-idealistic, because the reality of their situations is a little bit unbearable to face up to. The load does feel heavy under this particular grand aspect. And just to add to that, and I hope my little friend Luna is listening and can put in some input. I know in Chinese astrology we're actually in the year of the metal rat. So, a rat is actually a highly intelligent creature. And, it's very much influenced by Saturn, because they are the road makers, They are very disciplined and, very clever. But, the negative side or the darker side to the rat is that they know how to sedate you while they're like gnawing away at you, so as they're gnawing away at you, they're sedating you. So you're not really aware of just how far they're taking it. Do you know what I mean? And I do feel with the metal rat this year there is an element of that, because metal is a very cold object. It's like the other elements are associated with feelings and emotions, but metal, I guess in a way as well, it can be a little bit like, people's points of view. It's just really black and white. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that bit in. The good thing, though, with this new moon in particular, is that we do have 3 grand kites. Now, the fact that we've got 3, one's not quite there, but it's almost there. And, 3 is a very good number in a way, because to me it's all about mind, body, spirit, taking into account the wholeness of situations. It's a very healing energy. So these 3 grand kites that are at play this new moon do bring in some great opportunities when it comes to manifestation. So our manifestation abilities will be super strong if we can look past the T-square aspect, maybe taking time out away from like negative situations or just negative energy. Some of us are equipped some days to get in there and be the boots on the ground, be the fighting force. But then there's other days where we need to pull back and recharge. And I know light workers are exceptionally going through quite a heavy energetic time right now, because they're holding the fort, they're holding the vibration. So it's a lot of pressure on them. So I think when it comes to the kite aspects, I think this is for all my light workers out there, because what this is telling me is, these kites are all about creating change on higher planes of consciousness. And most of us know that whatever we manifest on the higher planes will eventually manifest into the physical. So whilst all the madness created by the strong shadow energy that's seeping across our earth, we would actually be doing more justice by sending out positive messages to the collective to uplift their spirits. Because believe me, many will need to hear those soothing words of hope. But we will also need the boots on the ground, the fighting force, to continue doing what they're doing as well. So there can't be any judgment on either side. We've really got to do where we feel aligned or what we feel aligned to. And it's not a permanent fixture, I'm aligned to this, for the next year. It's like daily or even moment by moment. So, Although the creative and entertainment industries are going through a bleak time right now, it would be good if the people involved in those industries find a way to express and share their craft with others. Continue to create regardless of the lack of motivation that may be present. We must keep that fire burning, so to speak. So also eating well and looking after our own well-being also continues to be very important at this time too. So in all, it's all about nurturing our mind, body and soul, especially since our nervous systems will continue to be under a lot of pressure. And, especially with our new moon taking place in Virgo. So, the new moon is all about new intentions, through the next moon cycle. So even us boots on the ground and the fighting force, we've got to also put out positive messages of hope at this time. Because if we do that, we're raising the energy, we're raising the vibration, and we become a magnet, and we will attract what we're putting out. There is also a suggestion here of puzzle solving. So for some, this could be about analysing the pieces of their lives and gaining a clearer insight into what needs to be done to move forward. This particular kite I'm talking about is with Venus, Uranus, Mercury, Neptune, the goddess Pallas and the goddess Juno. So it's a very creative energy that will aid the other kites' creative visualization abilities. This is also a good energy to indulge in puzzles in general or crosswords, since there will be a need for a lot of mental stimulation or even to drain off a bit of mind energy. So I would definitely recommend board games as well. And if you have the time and space for that. But in my opinion, I feel this time will be needed for many, to step outside of the rat race just for a day or two, to expel the negative energy or to recharge. I would say though, watch out for manipulative views or solutions, The energies are very impulsive and unpredictable, so we may need to ground ourselves too, so that we can stay in alignment with our true reality as an individual and as a collective. So Mars, who is also involved with most of these grand aspects that are going on as well, has now retrograded back to 10 degrees in Pisces, which is a significant number. 10, it's the number of manifestation, rebirth, vibrational changes, all on the higher planes of consciousness, and that's very much influenced by Uranus, who is currently retrograding through Aries. And the sign of Mars is the ruler of Aries. And the uncanny thing about this is Uranus has also retrograded back to 10 degrees. So 10 represents the house of Ophiuchus in 13 Star Sign Astrology. And Ophiuchus is very much influenced by Aquarius anyway, because that is the divine mother of Ophiuchus. Aquarius is the divine mother. So in all, it does suggest that we are on the horizon of great transformation, which can play out for either the good or the bad, depending on our thoughts, depending on our actions and our material desires. So it's down to us to manifest love and compassion for each other and not allow judgment on negative thoughts or actions to be the obstacle towards a more positive outcome. There are likely to be some angry outbursts this new moon or through the next new moon cycle, because the nervous high energy being emitted will feel pretty intense. And talking about the 10th house of Ophiuchus does bring me to the South Node. The nodes of the moon, the North Node and the South Node. Now, that is like the world card in the tarot. It's the head eats tail symbolism. So the South Node, it's the karma we bring into this life. It's what we already know, what we are already comfortable with. And the South Node entered into Ophiuchus on the 2nd of September this year and has now reached 13 degrees. So again, this is uncanny because 13 is also the number of transformation. And 13 in 13 Star Sign Astrology is actually the house of Aquarius. So, what I am strongly feeling from this is we must not allow fear or negative thinking to override the absolute need for positive manifestation. The South Node in Ophiuchus, like I said, is very karmic and is very ancient, especially when it comes to frequency. So a lot of ancient karma is being played out at this time. And as the Black Moon Lilith is also very active throughout this time and represents the lower octave of the Ophiuchian energy, that we will be witnessing, some major hidden truths about the past. Maybe these hidden truths will be about, oh Lord, there's a siren going past as I'm saying this. So let me say it again. So hidden truths about the past may be past injustices against humanity. It really does depend on the direction we take through the tides of change. So we must act, but we must act with wisdom, and get as much knowledge as we can. But with the Ophiuchian energy, which is becoming stronger and stronger as we head towards December, that also means that the element of ether is getting thicker and thicker. So that can really distort our vision. And, the moon's energy will become very prominent, in our own personal natal charts, collectively and globally. And the moon is all about our emotional responses, our spiritual awareness, but we have to get beyond the distortion, and we can't do that logically. We can only do that instinctively. So we have to use our inner compass and be really, really sharp with our instincts, because, it's going to be our third eye that guides us through this time. Our actual eyes will only see a certain amount and they can be deceived. Do you know what I mean? So that's just what I'm getting from this. So I do recommend lots of nature, walks in nature, definitely plenty of fresh air. So, if you're a mask wearer, please go to somewhere where you can take your mask off and do some deep breathing techniques. And, even though in the northern hemisphere, winter is on its way, the bits of sunlight that do come through, make sure that you bathe yourself in them. And I would definitely recommend peace and quiet, at moments, so you can stay aligned and focused, because we're going to need that. We're going to need that quiet space to really get centered. I'd say also watch out for ringing in the ears. I've been getting that all this week. And I feel for some, past life memories may also surface at this time too. Or, some past history, past ancient history, like just a knowing or a knowledge of it. And as the frequencies of Aquarius and Ophiuchus are prominent numerologically, I feel that sound frequencies like chanting, mantras, light language will really help to lift the vibration. And I strongly feel horns, instrument, the horns instruments. I feel that's a really good instrument to listen to or to play when it comes to sound frequencies. I love horns in the fog, the fog horns especially. I feel the fog horns will be kind of very healing and centering at this time. And, again, to me, the horns are Saturn energy. And when I say Saturn, I don't want people to think, oh, Satan the demon, because it's not. That's a man-made energy that's been created out of Saturn's energy. So Saturn has, I will get into that when I don't even know if I'm going to do a book or a presentation yet. I still haven't made up my mind. But I will get there, because I've got a lot to share with you about the planets and ancient history. And I know I keep saying it, but the energies have just been so intense, and it really hasn't been the right time. And I'm just trusting that the right time will come when it's the right time. So again, I definitely feel horns will keep us grounded and disciplined. And, especially when it comes to strategy and taking things a bit slower through this impulsive and unpredictable time. So Mercury enters into shadow of his retrograde mode on the 26th of September and started his retrograde on the 14th of October here in the GMT time zone at 3 degrees in Libra. I already spoke about that energy in my last podcast, so please do listen to that if you would like the full picture of that energy, if you haven't listened to it already. And on the 21st of October, Mercury will retrograde back into the sign of Virgo and will be in opposition to Uranus, who I said is retrograding through Aries at 10 degrees. So this can upset the apple cart, so to speak, when it comes to trying to make sense of things. You can't make sense of the intangible. And, this is probably not a good time to make sense with things anyway, in a logical way, because what is occurring or felt is on the ethereal level. It's not on a physical one. So our instincts are going to be very, very strong at this time. But so is the element of fear. So, we must follow our instincts by using our inner wisdom and not act or react through emotion. And there is a very fine line between instinct and emotion. That's why it's so important that we get grounded and focused on an inner level, for the moment. But I know that's easier said than done, depending on our individual circumstances. So, and just as a little addition, I just want to say, if you're all 13 star signs, I would definitely look at your moon and your black moon Lilith placement, just to know what can trigger you, just to know what your emotional status can be, what can be the block basically on your path. So definitely check out your moon sign and your black moon Lilith sign, and just focus on those energies and put them into perspective for those that are struggling. But for others of you that are in that positive energy and are managing to maintain that. This is definitely the moon to manifest, do your manifestations. So stay in peace, kindred. Peace and much love.